The history of editing in the 20s is the history of Soviet cinema. Soviet cinema takes editing as its centerpiece because it's building out from what Griffith did.
The Soviet filmmakers got a hold of a print of Intolerance, and they studied it because they had no filmmaking equipment or stock, and they just studied that film and rearranged it as many different ways as possible. And they are the ones who began to pioneer profound psychological implications of what editing could do.
Lev Kuleshov was one of the Soviet experimenters. One of the things that he did was show how meaning and emotion was invested almost in between shots. You have a neutral shot of a man, and then cut to a shot of food, and then back to the man. The meaning of that is the man is hungry. You intersperse a baby, the meaning is parental affection or love. The meaning changes, although the shots stay the same.
That whole idea, it's really a basic principle of editing, is the fact that you can cut to a close-up, and the close-up feeds off against what follows it. And you can go back and forth, and that way you create drama just by holding on somebody's face. And it's a matter of realizing the power of montage, of one thing following another. All these things have a very powerful effect on you as you watch a film. Obviously, a lot of film directing is based on these ideas. Both 3PO and Darth Vader, we created a face that was very, very neutral. It had to be perfectly neutral in order to be able to display the emotions of the moment onto this neutral surface. And those emotions were created by what the shot was before and after it, and what was the emotional context.
That was something that the Soviets discovered, and they actually found that it had quite a profound effect on audiences, and it's something we've been seeing ever since. You can create meaning purely through cutting.
You see the sense that film exists to be cut up, that the only power comes through a kind of an association, a juxtaposition, because it's not so much what's in the individual shot that matters. It's how that shot joins up in power with other shots.
Battleship Potemkin is a great work of art. It is constructed to draw you in and to produce emotion, and the Odessa Steppe sequence is probably the best example of that.
Eisenstein says all you have to do is organize the shots to clash with one another so that you produce the drama not in the nature of the story, but rather in the clash of images.
The whole sequence is constructed beautifully to put you on the side of the people in opposition to these soldiers.
You don't even see the faces of the soldiers, you just see their guns. That is about the extent of characterization you get, and it's all presented in an orchestrated way to horrify you.
Eisenstein really believed that a kind of psychological change for the spectator, some kind of cognitive change.
One of the great lessons of Soviet cinema is that there is energy that's created from cutting from one shot to another. They might have lost or left behind some of the political import, but our best filmmakers still understand that.
You can trace the influence of those images to the work of Sam Peckinpah. You can trace that editing style to the work of Oliver Stone. Those are filmmakers who were directly influenced by Sergei Eisenstein and by Soviet cinema.
On Scorsese himself, the impact of the great Russian editing style of Eisenstein and the others was enormous. In fact, we referred back, he had me look at clips of films for Gangs of New York. Scorsese wanted me to see if we could be influenced by things that Eisenstein had done.
Prepare to receive the true Lord!
It was for the battle sequence. The fact that he wanted that jagged kind of extremely dramatic, non-linear editing was what was in my mind.
What was largely gleaned and taken from the Soviet filmmakers was what could be used to create the emotional shocks in an audience, very much in keeping with increasing excitement and thereby illusion. What is the greatest example in American cinema of a director borrowing from Eisenstein's montage?
what has to be said about the shower sequence is it's pretty horrifying. So how do you emphasize the horror? The first thing is, of course, the use of close-ups. The knife, the belly, the face. Close-ups are very intense, and they intensify our experience.
There, editing is used as a kind of assault on the viewer, and this was a novelty at that time.